There's not many places where you can do lots of activities for any kind of people. Chamonix has this advantage. We're gonna go and explore a little bit everything in alpinism and in mountain range. There's a famous road called Voie Rébuffat. Les Drues, it's an iconic summit. Very famous and old route called Chapelle de la Glière. This place is absolutely incredible rock. Hi everyone. So before I start, I'm gonna say a few words about myself. I'm French, local product from Chamonix, meaning I was born and I grew up in Chamonix. Became a mountain guide about now 25 years ago, international mountain guide, and I'm based in Chamonix, even if I've traveled quite a lot and done lots of expedition all around the world. I'm also the co-founder of Nuyama, so it's an outdoor company working with 57 hours based in Chamonix, and we organize trips with outdoor activity, hiking, skiing, climbing, anything linked to the outdoor. So what we're going to talk about today is rock climbing and alpine climbing. Unfortunately, there's too many things to do in Chamonix. There's too many mountains to climb, and I had to pick some of them to try to tease you and to show all the potential of Chamonix. And my goal today is to bring you to see some of, I would say, classic or my favorite climbs, and then to make you maybe one day come and try. Either you're a beginner or you're an expert climber. Before we start, I'm gonna share, and just to get you in the mood, a video. Well, I hope this little video put you in the mood to visit Chamonix. This is another picture. So welcome to my office, actually. This is my almost everyday office. Doesn't exactly look like that every single day, but we try to take advantage of those big days to enjoy it. Before we start and talk about rock climbing, I know that's what you want to hear, but let's maybe a little bit more general about Chamonix and a little bit of geography and logistic and why basically most of the guides in Europe are based or come to Chamonix to work. Okay? Geography. So Chamonix is somewhere in this little red circle over there. So as you can see, it's in the corner between France on the left, Switzerland on top, and Italy bottom right. Okay? It is very close from Geneva. Geneva is in Switzerland, but it's like a 45 minutes to 1 hour drive from Chamonix. So very, very accessible. And Geneva is an international airport. There's some direct flight from North America, like New York, I think Canada also. Basically from everywhere in Europe, you can fly to Geneva in 1 or 2 hour max. So it's very convenient. The other thing is, so we are very close to Italy and Switzerland, which allows us to have many different opportunities. And as you can see, the mountains are east-west, more or less, and there's this big valley, the Rhône Valley over there. And so basically we can play with the weather. If the bad weather comes from the north, it gets stuck in Chamonix and our side, but sometimes it's clear blue sky in Italy in south, and the opposite is true. So in terms of condition, there's lots of possibilities within like 30 minutes, maximum 45 minutes drive. So from Chamonix to Courmayeur in Italy is 30 minutes. Switzerland is a bit further, like 45 minutes, because we have to drive through 2 passes, but it's very close. So that's, I think, a very important point to understand and to keep in mind. And even when we talk about winter and ski, I mean, Chamonix is very accessible compared to some bigger and maybe also very well-known resorts. I mean, it's very accessible. So for those who have never been to Chamonix and never seen any picture, this is a view from Chamonix from winter, okay? Chamonix in the valley, and above Chamonix, you have the Mont Blanc on the right. This is Aiguilles du Midi. So basically, this is all the Mont Blanc range, okay? Chamonix is at 1,000 meter high, about 3,000 feet, a little bit more. Aiguilles du Midi is 3,800 meters. Mont Blanc is 4,800 meters. So it gives you an idea of the dimension. And here, interesting thing, this is the entrance of the Mont Blanc tunnel that goes through Italy. So Italy is literally behind those mountains, and Switzerland is on the left. The same view, okay, but in summer, to give you an idea. So now you can make the difference between the snow and the glaciers coming down from the mountains. The snow limits all over here is, I would say, moving, depending on the year, between 2,500 meters and 3,500 meters. So all those faces, all those mountains that we can see in the picture are north-facing, actually, okay? Where the picture is looking to the south, but so those mountains are north-facing. So that's why it looks a little bit snowy. I would say this picture is probably now what we have in the springtime. Well, anyway, same picture and different atmosphere. Before we get into the rock climbing, a quick also word about Chamonix and what you can do in Chamonix, because I've been traveling a lot and lots of outdoor places where you go there, you have only rock climbing or only skiing. There's not many places where you can do lots of activities for any kind of people. Chamonix has this advantage. You can do hiking, you can do ice climbing, you can do rock climbing, you can go cycling. You can have activities for the kids. You can have activities for absolutely outstanding athletes or just beginners, kids, families. So if you plan to come to Chamonix, don't be afraid of not having stuff to do for everyone, and you can do anything. Mont Blanc. Well, I'm sure you have heard of it. Probably most iconic mountain in Chamonix. My first webinar was actually about Mont Blanc climbing, so I'm not going to talk at all about Mont Blanc today. Obviously, the opposite. I want you to realize that Mont Blanc, okay, is one big thing and one famous thing to do in Chamonix, but it's very popular, maybe a little bit too much popular, and there's so many other things to do in the mountains. And that's basically what I'm going to try to share with you today. Chamonix is also a place of culture and history. That's what makes it so special. It's where Chamonix created the tourists in the mountains. I mean, the first visitors were British. They were coming to Geneva, and from Geneva, you can see from far away those mountains with the white stuff on it. So you obviously see Mont Blanc very well. And obviously, the people started to get very interested and started to come and visit the valley. And doing so, they started to be very curious about what was up there and to climb higher and higher. And basically, that's how it started in the 17th century, something like this. The first one were Peacock and William. And then so they started to hire local people. I'm not going to call them guides at this time, but to help them in terms of logistics to go in the mountains. So as you can see on this drawing, it's like big expedition carrying lots of gear. Not gear as we call it now. It's more like things to drink, clothes, you see ladders, anything that could help to get higher. Obviously, very quickly, the main objective was to climb the highest peak, which was Mont Blanc. It was climbed in 1786 by Paccard and Balmat. Balmat was the local guide, and Paca was a Swiss guy. That's the beginning. After that, they started to climb all the other peaks. The ascent of Mont Blanc, let's say, created a couple years after what we call now being a guide, a mountain guide. So the profession mountain guiding was created at this time. So that's a picture of me and a friend for a reproduction of the first ascent of Mont Blanc. So we were supposed to be the client, Paca, and the first one was Balma. As you can see, no rope, nothing, and pretty rough regarding the equipment we had. And then, so as I said, the guiding was created and started to be quite a thing in Chamonix. So it was, let's say, at the beginning, mostly local farmers, local people that was taking care of their farms and cattle all year long. And during the season, there were people, like rich people, coming to visit and see the mountains. And what they wanted to do was to see the glaciers. Some of them wanted to climb. So that's where my job started, which was at the beginning quite different as we can imagine from now. Okay, you can see on the picture. And also, funny fact, the wine was not to, well, probably also to celebrate, but also to be able to have a drink in the mountains that could not freeze below zero. So they were mixing water and wine or tea and wine to try to keep it out of freezing. Let's go into the mountains and let's go into the climbing more specifically. So here is a view of the range from the Aiguilles Rouges. You can see on the right Mont Blanc. This is what we call Aiguilles de Chamonix. In the background here, this is Grandes Jorasses. The valley here is Mer de Glace glacier. And the two summits on the left, the further left is Aiguille Verte, and this one is the famous Les Drues. I'm just going to show you another picture taken from another side. I mean, mountains always look very different according to the point of view. So I think it's interesting. Like Mont Blanc, if I come back from Chamonix, it looks like a round summit, like a big hill. And look from here, you can see that actually there's rock, not very far. And it's quite, I wouldn't say pointed, but a little bit. So this is Aiguille du Midi, and this is Aiguille Verte, the one you saw on the left of the picture. Another picture, after I will show you a map and try to connect those pictures. It's just to give you perspective. This is exactly the same picture, but taken from Italy, Courmayeur. So this is the south face of the Mont Blanc range. In the clouds over there, you have the Mont Blanc. This is the Mont Blanc south face, much more technical than the French side. And this summit here is Grandes Jorasses. There's a cable car here in Italy that we use a lot called Skyway, which is the equivalent of Aiguille du Midi. And this valley below is Val Ferret. Those two valleys, so there's Val Ferret and over there to the left there's Val Veni, they are full of opportunities of rock climbing. We use them a lot. So Chamonix is this valley. Okay, you see the border between France and Switzerland is on the right. All that is Switzerland. And everything in this valley below is Italy. When we are in Chamonix, there's a range here in the red circle called Aiguilles Rouges. That is way smaller than obviously the Mont Blanc range, but that gives us also lots of rock climbing opportunities, which is good to know. I will show you a picture after. I've decided to pick some areas with some specific summit in each area and to show you what's possible in there. So the blue circle is what we call the Aiguille de Chamonix. That's the needles right above the city. There's the north face, which are what we call the Aiguilles de Chamonix, and then the backside, which are called Envers des Aiguilles. Aiguilles de Chamonix, let's say maximum 3,500 meters. I would say average, it's, let's say, 3,000 meters. Aiguilles Rouges, this one, maximum it's 2,500 meters. There's a couple summits above, but that are not climbing. Going back to Mont Blanc, this orange circle is Combe Maudite. Combe Maudite, you'll see in the picture, there's many different granite pillars to climb, but it's higher, definitely above 3,000, 3,500 meters. In this area, so in Les Drues, Aiguille Verte, same thing, we are like almost 4,000 meters, pretty high in altitude, glacial approach. And the last thing I'm going to talk over there in the purple circle to the right will be Aiguille du Tour, which is still a glacier and alpine approach, but a little bit lower, like 3,500 meters. This is a view of the Aiguilles Rouges taken from the Mont Blanc range. As you can see, it's quite rocky and it's very dry. On this picture, I think it's taken late summer. There's no snow, but you can have snow, but there's definitely no glacier on this side. It is very easily accessible by lift. So in winter, this is Flégère for the one who knows. So there's a lift coming to this place, Flégère, and then there's a chairlift going to Index here. And then in the closest rock climbing multi-pitch are maybe 3 minutes from the top of the lift to the left. And then there's some here, there's some everywhere, okay? Aiguilles Rouges, it's not granite. It's a different type of rock. It's called gneiss, which is interesting, sometimes a bit more fragile, more loosened, but can be very steep also, and there's many opportunities. Okay, so this range is usually a very good start when we don't know anyone, or if you come to Chamonix for the first time, it's a very good place to go to get in shape or test you or make sure you're awake, and then you go there. It's easy access, one day, and there's no big deal. This is top of Brévent, and you have below the Brévent face, which is, I would say, 200 meters, 250 meters high. And there's a very famous rock climbing route here on the right in those corners called La Frison, about 510, 510A, 510B. And then the rest, there's many other routes, but more difficult. Some atmosphere about what you can find in the Aiguilles Rouges. So on the left, it's called the Traversée des Perrons, which is actually the border, the crest, or the ridge you follow is the border between Switzerland and France. So you start from Émaux-Sondam and then you climb up to there and then you follow the ridge. So this type of climb is not technically difficult. It's pretty easy. I would say you don't even take your rock climbing shoes. You can do it with like hiking shoes, but you have some abseiling. You go up, you go down, you do a little bit of scrambling. The rock is a little bit loose, and then you have quite a long approach and a long way to return. So Aiguilles Rouges has some very sporty and technical rock climbing, and also I would say introduction of alpine climbing, usually without the glacial thing. Other pictures from Aiguilles Rouges, but the left one and the top right one are just classical rock climbing. Bottom right one is a very famous and old route called Chapelle de la Glière, and this place is called the Razor, the Rasoir. It's a very sharp ridge that you have to go. It's easy, there's nothing difficult, but it can be quite impressive. So now let's go to Mont Blanc range. So those are the Chamonix needles. You have all the names. All of them are climbable. All of them are incredible. But I think the picture was taken in late fall, I think. So that's why there's snow. In summer, it's completely dry. But as you can see, there's glaciers. Not too big. They're receding, of course, but there's still some glaciers. To give you an idea of the dimension, Aiguille du Midi, so that's where the cable car goes. From the top, the base of the rock, 1,200 meters. So let's say almost 5,000 feet vertical. I mean, all those needles are pretty big and committed routes. But there's also many different little needles, pillars, or just routes that you can climb that are super nice. On this side, it's granite. It's north-facing granite. So it's not the typical you'll see on the picture. I mean, the granite on the south face is different, you'll see, but it's really nice. Important thing here, for the one who don't know, it's the middle station of Aiguille du Midi. So that means you go there with a cable car, and then like from here to the base of this Le Peigne needle, less than 30 minutes, you access to the first peak. So this is north facing. This is south facing. This is the exact same needles, but south facing. So all those needles here, all those routes, most of them, except the very long one and difficult one, climbable in one day. You take the cable car in the morning, go climb, and come back and take the cable car down to Chamonix. Here, to reach the south facing of this needle, you have to walk through Mer de Glace, and in one day, it's too long. You have to sleep over there. There's a hut called Envers des Aiguilles. This place is absolutely incredible rock, south facing, very long. I mean, the rock from here to the top, it's more than 800 meters, 3,500 feet. It's full of rock climbing. There's routes everywhere, short one, long one. So yeah, incredible place, very famous, called Envers des Aiguilles. In this area, I'm going to describe the one route called the Papillon Ridge. I'm sure the people who know Chamonix, I've heard of it. It's a very classic. So this is the Pain Needle. Summit is there, 3,000 meters approximately. And there's many routes here in the slab. There's other route on the other side on this peak called Gendarme du Pain on the other face. And I'm going to talk about Arrête des Papillons, which is 2-option route. Why I'm saying that? So the classic ridge, you follow the ridge here until this point up there. From this point, you can get down by the other side to abseil, and then you walk back down, and then you come back. So it's already quite a long day and a nice route to do. And you can also combine it with the summit of Pain. So that's what I wrote in the notes here. But definitely, when you go to the Pain Summit, it's definitely a longer day and a more committed climb. Not more difficult, but just longer. And the way down is as complex and difficult as going up. I'm going to show you some picture of the Pain. So this is the kind of terrain you have. You see, the rock climbing is not difficult. The most difficult will be like 3 meters of, maybe 5'10", 5'9" on the Papillon Ridge. I mean, nothing difficult, but still, I mean, you're in altitude, it's granite, sometimes it's cold in the morning because it's north facing. This picture here is a funny thing. I don't know if you heard of it. It's a spectre de broken. This is something that happened. We can see our shade in the clouds with a halo. Okay, another route to give you an idea to the left. So Le Pen is here, and to the left here you have a red pillar called Pilier Rouge de Blétière. And the route I've picked is a bit more difficult, so it's more like for already rock climbers. It's 5'10" plus, something like this, and it's called Laurence d'Arabie. Le Pen is more like Alpine route. It's easy. You can take your rock climbing shoes, but you don't absolutely need them. On Aiguilles de Blétière, definitely you need your rock climbing shoes. As you can see, it's pure crack climbing and incredible nice granite. This is actually my son on the picture. Little video of what it looks like.
J'ai la plus belle grimpe.
Applique-toi, t'es filmé. That was Aiguille de Chamonix, okay? Now I'm going to share some experiences and climbs higher up in Combe Maudite. So this is not exactly the Combe Maudite, but let's say I'm going to call it Combe Maudite. So this is Mont Blanc in the background, in the south face. But exactly what I'm going to talk is all those little peaks here, a little bit to the right. So this mountain is called Mont Blanc du Tacul. And there's lots of peaks here. As you can see, it's like big pillars with incredible nice rock. To give you an idea, on the right over there, we can't see on the picture, but it's right here. You have the Aiguille du Midi cable car. And behind this peak, we can see it a little bit. That's the Skyway cable car coming from Italy. So you go down to the left to Italy, and you can come up from Italy and walk to those pillars from Italy, or you can come from France. This is 2 examples. So Grand Capucin, the one to the right, is here. On this picture, the Grand Capucin, it's 400 meters high, 1,500 feet, okay? So when you go back to this picture, you can see the dimension of all the mountains around. Grand Capucin is probably the most iconic pillar and mountain in this area because of its pure, absolutely incredible granite rock. South facing, it's red, it's super steep. It's incredible to climb, but it's definitely, again, it's like Laurence d'Arabie, it's for climbers, okay? But there's also like the one to the left, Pyramide du Tacul, which is same thing. I mean, the rock is absolutely incredible, but as you can see, I mean, it's not as steep as Grand Capucin, and the view is just stunning. So this one is definitely a peak, an ascent you can do. I mean, the rock climbing is 5'8", so very accessible. You need to know how to make the techniques, the belay, to abseil, to go back. The approach and this area approach are all on glaciers. So you need to deal with that. You need to know how to deal with that. It's important because in summer, this is a big thing for us. I mean, dealing with glacier approach because of the crevasse, you have to be careful. But then the climbing is not that difficult. So couple more picture about Pyramide du Tacul, Voie Hautose. So the summit is almost at 3,500 meters, 5'8", as I said. And you see the climbing, it's not very steep. There's lots of good holes, and the view is just stunning with the Dent du Géant in the background. And the summit is absolutely incredible because it's a perfect pyramid. So the bottom right picture is Sophie at the top, yeah, it's like perfect pyramid. You just get there, up, put your hands, make the picture, and then climb down for 2 meters to be able to come back. Grand Capucin. So Grand Capucin, again, it's the one here, 400-meter high. Behind, on the right, you have Mont Blanc du Tacul, and this is Mont Maudit. So the route I'm going to describe is called the Swiss route, and it's on the left side of the pillar. It goes actually in the shade to the left, because all the other routes here, they are all 511, 512. Swiss route is a good 510 plus plus, but that's the easiest. So you can see, very steep, incredible rock. I mean, the color of the rock and the granular of the rock is just incredible. So that's the view from the top of the Grand Capucin. So this is Italy in the background, up, going back, up, France. This is me at the summit. And then we're going back to France and Aiguilles du Midi at the end. And when you go down from Grand Capucin, here is how steep it is. There are routes climbing like just behind Noah in the Prax. There are Prax behind. There's routes going up, but gives you an idea of how steep it is. Okay, another classic one, very famous Italian 4,000-meter peak. Quite easy because it's equipped like Matterhorn and other peaks with big ropes, so you can actually pull on the rope all the way up, except that's the giant tooth, Dent du Géant, which is 150 meters, just this part of rock climbing. But then to reach the base, you have to climb this mixed part, which is, I would say, the trickiest part of the climb, because first you need good condition. It's quite loose rock, so you don't want to be too warm and this kind of thing. And you need crampons, and yeah, you need to get used to it. So the rock climbing is easy, but then the whole thing makes a nice alpine route and a super nice summit. As you can see on the top, there's a virgin. So on different peaks, there's virgins that was brought between 170 years ago by the local people. And the idea was to put something to bless. They are all looking at the valleys, and they are here to protect the valleys. A little video of the ascent of Dent du Géant that I did actually last week in winter, but conditions were absolutely stunning. That's a picture taken from Les Drues. That's the area I'm going to describe now. And it's also gives you maybe better views, idea of how Chamonix is organized. Chamonix is over there below the clouds on the right. This is Chamonix Needle. Obviously in the sun, this is the Envers des Aiguilles. So Le Peigne and the Piliers Rouges de Bléchière I've shown you are on the other side. Mont Maudit is up there. So Pyramide du Tacul is here. Grand Capucin is here. Okay, this is Vallée Blanche Glacier, and then that becomes Mer de Glace Glacier. This one is Dent du Géant, that you don't climb from here, you climb it from the other side. And this mountain probably is one of the 3 most famous north faces in the Alps, with the Matterhorn, Eiger. The last one this is Grandes Jorasses. So this face is also more than 4,000 feet vertical and several kilometers wide. Les Drues. I wanted to talk about Les Drues because I think this is, first of all, a famous mountain, probably the most famous in Chamonix except Mont Blanc, and also because it's an iconic summit. Les Drues, so you see this picture is taken almost from the valley, so you see it from the valley. This face is more than 1,000 meter vertical. It's very, very famous. I mean, lots of epic solos, lots of epic climb have been done in this face because it's just an incredible mountain, incredible shape. Les Drues in local language means steep. 3 years ago, I think Alex Honnold came and soloed a route here called the American Direct. He soloed it up and down. Anyway, so the classics in this phase, the west phase and the north phase, it's all very committed and difficult climb. I would say normal and regular ascent are made from the south phase, so bottom left. The classic route is the Les Drues Traverse, because you have 2 summits actually. You have the Petit Dru on the left and the Grand Dru on the right. And so you go up to this ridge and then you follow this kind of pillar between shade and sun all the way to the top of Petit Dru, and then you traverse, go up to Grand Dru, and then you go down and upside down this face, south face. To do so, you have to sleep in the charcoal hut. That's the top left picture. It's not anymore this exact hut because it has been redone 2 years ago, I think. But this picture was the original hut. Honestly, it's 10, 12 beds. That's it. So very small and wooden. I mean, it was built 110 years ago. It was still the same, on the same rocks. Very nice place. Les Drues, it takes at least 2 days. And I would say now, mostly almost 3 days, because you have to be very fast to climb Les Drues and get back down, back to Chamonix in the same day. So usually you go to the hut, you sleep, you climb Les Drues, south face, you go down back to the hut, and then the third day free, you go back to the valley. Again, there's a virgin on top of Les Drues. So to the left, you can see Bernard and myself next to the virgin. And just a little video. Okay, quickly, that's another valley. Not as interesting as the other one in terms of rock climbing, but I think it's interesting to mention it. This is Argentière Glacier. This picture is taken in winter because, I mean, it's usually either a ski valley. There's lots of ski terrain. All the red tracks that you can see at the picture, it's ski tours or backcountry skiing. Or there's lots of mixed climbing. So that's the right side of the glacier. Chamonix is down to the left. And the other side is Aiguilles Vertes North Face, Les Droites North Face, Les Courtes North Face. This is very technical, very steep, mixed North Faces. Last valley, Aiguille du Tour. So Le Tour Glacier. Le Tour Glacier is the last glacier before you go to Switzerland. So the border with Switzerland is behind this ridge. Le Tour Glacier gives you access to very easy summits like Tête Blanche or Petite Fourche, which are like really walking summits. It's on glacier, okay, so you have to deal with glacier stuff, but still it's just glacier walking. So the hut is here. The hut is called Albert Ier, and then you just walk up and Tête Blanche is behind to the right. It's right at the border with Switzerland. And Aiguille du Tour is this summit. So from the hut, you go up, you cross, you go there like this, you go into Switzerland, and then you climb it by the other side. So the first part is glacier, and then you have some mixed climbing. Well, not mixed. It's either rock or mixed, depends on the snow. This is like classical easy summit, and you will see it's inside our Alpine clinic 5 days, because that's the summit we climb at the end. So it's a very good introduction to what is mountaineering in global, because you have day 1, you go to the hut, you sleep in the hut, and then day 2, you climb, you go on the glacier, you climb your peak, and then you go back down to the valley. A few explanations about our programs. I'm going to describe quickly the 3 programs we have with 57. So we have our Alpine clinics, 3 and 5 days. So it's actually the same thing, obviously a bit longer. Let's say like the 5 days is an add-on to the 3 days. So Alpine clinics, they are designed for basically everyone. I would maybe put on the site like very strong and experienced climbers. I don't think it's the right thing for you to do. But for all the rest, like beginners, intermediate, it's like we're going to go and explore a little bit everything in alpinism and in mountaineering. So rock, ice, and then we'll do a climb. And then eventually, if you go on the 5 days, we'll go and do a proper ascent. So to give you an idea. Day 1 will be on the ice. It could be either you improve your safety technique. So the idea in this clinic is to either introduce you start from scratch and it's your first time, that's fine. Either you have a little bit of background in climbing or ice climbing, and then we'll try to go deeper to allow you to maybe go by yourself or to bring some friends or go further in your experience.
Look at the position of the legs.
Yeah. Oh yeah, oh absolutely. Oh yeah, oh you just used them. Fine, I understand. You just used them.
Ok.
I was trying to
Un mouvement, les 2 pieds. Un mouvement, les 2 pieds.
Superstar!
Backflip.
climb usually best would be first to do a triangle.
Oh, trying. Oh.
One axe.
Yep.
And you try to do that. Because everybody.
I want to clarify here. Makes sense.
That would have been nice to know before.
A quick note, why we do ice climbing, as you see on some of the peaks and climbs I've shown you, there's glacier access, right? Glacier access means you have to know how to use your crampons and maybe ice axe. So you're not going to do ice climbing as steep as the video, but you need to be comfortable with ice climbing. Even if it's not the thing you want to do, it's important to be able to go higher up and do some more interesting climb. This is again the same kind of thing, more in the winter atmosphere. We can find easy stuff, like the one to the left is easy, or the one to the right is almost overhanging ice. Yeah, it's just fun to try, and it's very important to know how to use crampons and ice axe to get further in your practice. Second day will be rock. So it will be Aiguilles Rouges. So it depends on your rock climbing abilities, but we'll decide according to what you can climb, and we'll take you and you'll do it by yourself to learn and be efficient and be safe. What we want you in this clinic is to learn and be safe and in a nice environment. And day 3, we'll go higher up and do something, either a mixed route like this one to the left called Cosmic Ridge, or another one maybe like Alpine, or there's many different options. There's one thing I want to show you so you understand why it's very important to do the crampon thing. This ridge, the video, shows you the access from the top of Aiguilles du Midi, the access to the glacier. There's no other way to access the flat part of the glacier. You have to go down this ridge. There's nothing difficult, but it's very impressive. On your left, you go straight down to Chamonix. On your right, you get to here. So that's why we need to make sure you're able to work safely with your crampons. And then that's Cosmic Ridge. That was actually a woman last year who did the clinic, and it was on Cosmic Ridge. So Cosmic Ridge, depends on the condition, could be mixed. So that means there's a rock and snow, so you keep your crampons on, or it's dry, like on those pictures, and you take off the crampons, and it's a mix of easy scrambling and more technical one. So that's the end of the 3 days Alpine clinic. And then for the Alpine clinic 5 days, on day 4, we will get to Albert Premier Hut. So that's the blue path. Day 4 is a kind of mix of rest day because you will have done 3 days of climbing and training. So I think it's good to rest a little bit. So it's like a late start and then 2 to 3 hour hike to get to Albert Premier Hut to climb after to go to Aiguille du Tour the next day, like this. And then the same day, we go all the way back down and back to Chamonix. This is Aiguille du Tour ascent. So top left, you have the approach to the hut. Actually, with this group, we did it in 1 day. We didn't sleep at the hut because they were in good shape and they wanted to push themselves. It's possible, but definitely longer. It means like in 1 day, you have to go up and down 2,000 meters, a little bit more. Anyway, top left is the hiking to the hut. Then bottom left is the glacier hike above the hut. The hut is right there. And then the 2 other pictures in the middle are the mixed or rock scrambling to get to the summit, the right picture. You can see Mont Blanc in the background, Aiguille Verte here, and this one is called Aiguille du Chardonnay. It's a beautiful summit. It's not difficult, and it's really nice as a first experience. Our Go Granite program. So let's be clear, the Go Granite is dedicated to granite. So rock climbers. I only want rock climbers on those programs. We might put the crampons, depending where we go, but we won't really bother with ice climbing and ice cruise. We don't want like 513, 515 climbers. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to follow you. But so it can be, well, beginners or already introduced climbers. That would be the best. But beginners works too. And the idea is to do one route in the Aiguilles Rouges to just check your level, have fun, and also share and review the basic techniques, safety techniques like belaying. So we'll do day 1 in the Aiguilles Rouges. Day 2, we'll go on the granite in the Aiguille de Chamonix, probably around Le Peigne and the mid station of Plan de l'Aiguille. Aiguilles Rouges is 2,005 meters. Above Plan de l'Aiguille, let's say it's 3,000 something. I'm sharing this video of the top of Le Pain. That's my other son, Tori. It's really the summit of the Pain Leader. It's a 2-meter track. There's not even a grade for it. It's easy and really uncomfortable at the same time. It's quite funny. And then day 3, we'll go Pyramide du Taicul, for example. This is the picture. Or also we can go south face of Aiguille du Midi. There's a famous road called Voie Rébuffat. So that was the first 510 in the Mont Blanc range. There's many other options. But the global idea is day 1, Aiguilles Rouges. Day 2, Plan de l'Aiguille, north-facing granite. Day 3, glacial approach, and 3,500 meters, something to climb up there. I want to mention this because as guides, we have the responsibility of the safety of the party, right? So as soon as we get to longer and more committed and more technical summit, we cannot take care of hundreds of people. So sometimes 2, we can, it's fine. But even sometimes 2, like on Les Drues, because there's lots of simul climbing, there's lots of parts you need to move together and things like this. So we cannot take 2 people. So as soon as we go above in terms of level, technicality, and length, well, then there's no program, but feel free to contact us and we'll design a program for you with one of our guides and try to reach your dream. Just want to mention, like this summer, we have 2 people contacting us and they are going to climb Eiger and Matterhorn. It's not difficult mountains, but it's just to give you that we can go and help you to get to your dream climb with great pleasure. The only thing you have to do is come and try. You'll get hooked. I know it.